welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from Anisabata Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in and beyond. I am Alfredo Concert this evening. Member of Parliament for Old Tafo constituency Vincent Ekosifwa files application at the Supreme Court seeking to halt the suspension of the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono. Stay with us. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition. Also, the Ghana Bar Association has waded into the matter and cautioning government against politicization of this particular issue. Stay with us. Also, the Federation of Women Lawyers as well have issued a press statement. We have a copy of it. We'll get into the details shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. There's been a lot that's happening regarding this Chief Justice suspension. Stay with us. We've got details for you this evening. Some news just coming through. The Narcotics Control Commission has intercepted some 73 slabs of suspected cocaine bound for the Netherlands. 4 persons have been arrested. This is the 4th major interception by the Narcotic Control Commission of these narcotics in the last at least 2 months. Stay with us. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition. Unfortunate news. 1 person dead, others injured in military-civilian clash at Nyinayini. Stay with us. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. The health minister is calling on the striking medical officers at the Tamale Teaching Hospital to call off their strike to sit for a negotiation. Stay with us. We've got details for you whether or not the doctors and the Tamale Teaching Hospital will, as it were, respond to this said call by the health minister. Also, the Education Minister, Harun Idrisu, has just indicated that senior high school 2, the second year senior high school students, will have the opportunity to choose a foreign language in the new curriculum. Stay with us. We've got educationists joining us to have a conversation on this matter, plus the latest in business and sports for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 and on W93.5 in and beyond. Safwa Boahene is here with a summary of the news.
Absolutely. And we would get right into it. Let's settle for the details now. The Ghana Bar Association, GBA, has issued a statement regarding the suspension of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, highlighting the importance of upholding the rule of law and constitutional processes in such cases. In a press release dated April 24, 2025, the GBA noted that its General Counsel has been closely monitoring the situation. Away from that, the government has announced plans to develop an indigenous framework for managing natural resources over the next few months. This decision follows the exit of goldfields from the Daman mines after their 30-year lease expired, which the government has chosen not to renew. An agreement has been made for both the government and goldfields to jointly manage the mines for 1 year, pending parliamentary approval for the transfer. And also, the Narcotics Control Commission, NACOC, intercepted a significant shipment of suspected cocaine at the Swiss port in Ghana on April 23, 2025. The operation uncovered 73 slabs of a concealed substance totaling approximately 89.74 kilograms, which is believed to be cocaine. The seizure thwarted a major drug trafficking attempted to the Netherlands. And to our last story now, Health Minister Kobna Minta Kando has made an appeal to the striking medical staff at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, urging them to end their industrial action and return to the negotiation table. This appeal was made during a brief ceremony where the minister presented medical equipment to the hospital's newly appointed CEO. And this is where we end news summary segment, and over to you, Alfred Okanse.
Thank you very much. Safwa Boahene, more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's go into stories right now. The Narcotics Control Commission has intercepted a large consignment of suspected cocaine at the Swiss port in Tema in the Greater Accra region during a routine inspection on Wednesday, April 23, 2024. According to officials, the cargo, which was being packaged for shipment to the Netherlands, contained concealed substances suspected to be cocaine. Now, in total, 73 slabs, so weighing approximately 89.74 kilograms, were seized 4 individuals have been arrested so far in connection with the attempted shipment. They are currently in the custody of the Narcotics Control Commission as investigations continue into the origin, the ownership, and intended recipient of this illicit cargo. Now, if you recall, this comes on the back of the number of the major interceptions that have been made by the Narcotics Control Commission over the last at least 6 weeks. Now, Richard Commodore is an intelligence and security risk analyst. He's joining us, a former intelligence officer with the BNI, now National Intelligence Bureau. Mr. Commodore, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition. First of all, hearing this latest interception of another large consignment of suspected cocaine at the Tema port here in the Greater Accra region, following from what we saw, the interception by the Narcotics Control Commission with this consignment from the Central region en route to Accra. How does all of this play out for you?
My checks confirms that they are having some of these processes because there has been a large work done by the intelligence community. There has been a lot of surveillance in the system. Some went back as far as a year ago, 1.5 years ago, last year June, and this year January. And I wasn't surprised at all. The successes, they are shocking. I think what has helped the security agencies was this sector collaborative nature of agencies working together to ensure that their security intelligence gathering has become a bit more effective, and a lot more people are speaking because of lack. There has not been lack of motivation in the system. I've heard one of the things we haven't done well as a country is when some of these years are done, we don't follow up to see how it ended. And to the extent that Ghana has become not just a transit point, but a destination and an origin of many of these criminal activities. Some of these things may find themselves out of the country through some other means. If we take a determination that once we pick them, investigation goes off, and we destroy these drugs, then it helps our cause. But we need to find out, the media must help society to find out where do we keep some of these drugs and what happened after a year or 2 or 3. But I can tell you, a lot more work is being done, and many more people are on the run because there's fire on their hill.
I see. Then again, that's that fundamental question you ask about what happens to these drugs when they're intercepted. And just for the benefit of those watching on Facebook, and for those of you who want to get onto Facebook right now, 3FM927 on Facebook, we're showing you videos of this interception of this large consignment of suspected cocaine at the Swiss port in Tema in the Greater Accra region during a routine inspection yesterday by the Narcotics Control Commission officials. Now, we understand the cargo was being packaged for shipment to the Netherlands, contained concealed substances suspected to be cocaine. We have videos of these concealed substances which have been intercepted as we speak. So go on our Facebook page at 3FM927. You see we're showing you the videos of this consignment and what's in there. Mr. Commodore, well, a number of times the media is invited to witness the destruction of these consignments. Either they burn them at the seashore or some other places as well. And you say that that's not enough convincing to let us all know how these intercepted products end up?
That is just one aspect of it. The totality of what we are dealing with. Once these are poisonous drugs, and you wouldn't want them to move from your country to some other country, and you wouldn't want the same people to engage in the same kind of trade with a bit more sophistication. One of the things we have to do is to speed up with the investigation and arrest as many people as possible. The second one is to prosecute. And the third one, let the media be a watchdog for us throughout the destructive nature of these drugs. Other than that, if you keep them for a very long time because of a lack of conclusive investigations and prosecutions, you never know what is going to happen in a year or 2 or 3. One of the good things that has also happened after is that the deputy narcotics director, Chum Berima, used to be a police officer, and I think now he's a lawyer and a politician. So we might want to play on his leverage and his knowledge about how to curtail some of these loopholes when it comes to drugs, seizure, and how some can slip off, besides the fact that we destroy large numbers of it. And I think that is a preventive measure, and that is a curtailing measure. And in as much as we clap for them and we commend them for hard work done, let's also make sure we seal the back end and we will have a better day future.
See, now the next phase after this is interception of this last consignment is that we understand the investigation is going to continue into the origin, the ownership, and intended recipients of the illicit cargo. I mean, what exactly is going to be at play right now for this next phase of the investigation as we're getting to know now?
The nature of these crimes is that they are cross-border crimes, and there has to be some people expected to receive it either at the high sea before it reaches the Netherlands, or it gets to the Netherlands and some people pick it up. If the Ghana authorities realize that they don't have the capacity, or they have some level of arrangement with the security agencies in Netherlands, they would have let the cargo move and they would give them a tip-off and the guys would be arrested there. To the extent that they are arrested here, which means that much of the work has been done here and the kingpins behind it are already here or in close proximity, and the authorities here will want to go after them. My encouragement or my incitement is that they pick them at the right time, and I'm hopeful that they will work through the night and make sure that the right people are picked, those who play passive role and active roles in this particular consignment. And there could be a linkage to many of the ones they have intercepted so far. And I wish them well. Thanks to the collective nature of what the agencies are doing together and why they are getting the results. They shouldn't stop. They should continue. And it's going to make them very effective and very bravado in the nature of the work they do.
And I do appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much. And Richard Commando is a security and intelligence analyst, also joining us, a former operative of the National Intelligence Bureau, that's formerly Bureau of National Intelligence, BNI. And let's focus on this matter a bit further. Chum Berima is the Deputy Director of Narcotics Control Commission, joining us on the telephone right now. And Mr. Chum Berima, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yeah, thank you, Alfred.
Fantastic. Now, we're just reading this latest interception from you. A large consignment of suspected cocaine at the Swiss port in Tema in the Greater Accra region during what has been described as a routine inspection by you, the Narcotics Control Commission. Tell us a bit more about what we're seeing in this video.
Okay, so it was last night that it wasn't Tema, it's Accra. And we had let me say a report, at the headquarters. So I was just about to leave the office and the call came in. So immediately I went there, and our men there had arrested some persons who were about to, should I say, ship or send across these items to Europe. So we got them arrested. Our K9 team went there to do their work, and we got them arrested. And then it was about 73 parcels of suspected cocaine. So we had to be there for everything to be counted and assessed. And then after that, we packed it back to the headquarters and then brought them to detain them. So investigation is currently ongoing here.
I see. Now, was this as a result of prior intelligence you had received, or you were on a routine inspection as has been reported?
Well, it's a routine thing. You see, everything that goes out of this country from any point, we inspect. Our men are at the various, how do I say it, let's say border posts that, things could enter or exit from here, to be checking anything that is coming and going out as well. So as far as the routine check, every day, every time, morning, afternoon, evening, we check all these things to ensure that everything that is going out or coming in are well scrutinized. So where we have our suspicions on something, we dig further. And that is what happened with this one. It wasn't any prior intel or something, but it's something that we were normally checking, or we're doing our routine exercise or work, and then we found it.
I see. Mr. Berima, this comes on the back of a number of large interceptions that you, Narcotics Control Commission, have made in the last at least 6 weeks. The latest being the interception of the large consignment of cocaine and then suspected cocaine, and then also other illicit drugs from the central region en route to the Greater Accra region. What exactly is working for the commission, which has contributed to these latest number of consignments that have been intercepted?
Okay, so I would say that it's as a result of all in regards to quality leadership that we have now. Leaders who are not ready to compromise in their roles, but to ensure that, the right thing is done at the right time. So we are just working, and that is what the president has mandated us to do. So that is what is leading to this thing. Because if we are not really active or vigilant, these things will be just passing, under the curtains, under the carpet, and then you will not be seeing it. Because if you look at, for instance, what we had yesterday, if you look at the way they had attached or they've rubbed some, I don't know whether it's a chemical or something, on it for it to not smell the way that you want it to smell, for your sniffing dogs or whatever to be able to apprehend it easily or access it easily. It tells you that the criminals are looking for different means of operation. But we, as I always say, under the leadership of my boss, the Brigadier General Mante, alongside his team, we are wide awake, and we are not going to leave any stone unturned. So it's not about anything, but it's as a result of quality leadership that we are experiencing. That's it.
I see. And it's important that you even make reference to how this packaging has been done. For the benefit of those who want to see this, you can go on our Facebook page at 3FM927. We have videos of how this consignment suspected to be cocaine was packaged. And I see, Mr. Chumberma, the rubber with something that looks like a black substance in there.
It's not that the rubber is black. No, because of that thing I was telling you about, that they've applied some, I don't know whether it's a chemical or something on it, just for it to, to be able to outweigh the security operations. Let me put it in that simple terms. Yeah.
I see, but then again, your sniffer dogs were able to sniff it out.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah.
But so there was another concern that was raised by Richard Commodore, who was on the other line before you joined us, about how these substances are eventually destroyed. Where does it end up? You've intercepted a number of these large consignments. What next?
Okay, so once you make arrests, then you can't just destroy because somebody is connected to it. You understand? So after investigations, the next thing is prosecution. And so when we get to the point that we want to destroy, we get directives from the court, and then we go to destroy them. Not too long. Since we took office, I think we've done some destruction around. I think a week or two ago. There was some destruction that was done alongside FDA and co. Yeah, so we do it. We don't do it in secret. It's always in an open space. Yeah.
But you would understand why this question is crucial, because we've had some time in the past in this country where cocaine that has been intercepted gets lost, unaccounted for. It turns into baking soda and so on. So we need to know how you dispose of these substances that you intercept or you arrest.
Yeah, Alfred, but one thing that you can count on the NDC government led by John Dramani Mahama is that due diligence is always at stake. The time that it turned into baking soda or whatever that you are mentioning, those people are no more. And us, it will not turn into anything. But where it needs to be destroyed properly.
I do appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Chumberma is a deputy director in charge of the Narcotics Control Commission there, talking to us, giving us a bit more detail of the video we are showing on Facebook right now at 3FM927 on Facebook. And you just heard the deputy director who also led this operation at the ports, the Swiss ports here in Accra, which now we do know has led to the interception of a large consignment of suspected cocaine at the Swiss port here in Accra during that routine inspection yesterday. According to the officials, we just heard Chumberma, the Deputy Director of Narcotics Control Commission, indicate that the cargo, which was packaged for shipment to the Netherlands, contained concealed substances suspected to be cocaine. And we've got videos of that on 3FM927 scrolling right now on our live stream. In total, we understand 73 slabs weighing approximately 89.74 kilograms were seized. We'll keep an eye on how things playing out, and then also continue to knock on the doors of the Narcotics Control Commission regarding how these intercepted 873 slabs will be destroyed, because that's another issue that Richard Kumado raised. And it's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're just receiving some news of a very unfortunate incident. One person has been shot dead in an alleged clash between a group of military men and some youth of Nyine in the Ashanti region. Now, we understand a number of persons have been also left with various degrees of injury. William Evans Inkum is our Northern Bureau Chief Ashanti Region Correspondent, joining us right now. William, I do appreciate your time. What more do we know about this unfortunate incident?
Well, so the name of the deceased has been identified as Akwesi Lala, alias Kushidi, who is 37-year-old, but there were other people who also sustained gun wounds and are currently receiving treatment at the Nyine Government Hospital. And we understand they are Kofi Ejapon, who is 44 years, Alfred Kwaten, 24 years, and then Kofi Owusu, alias Juve, who is 36 years old. So that is it. Of course, we've also seen, the police report has also revealed the vehicle in which these military men were actually traveling with, and we understand the number is 73 GA 39. Alfred, we understand they were actually traveling to BBNE when they clashed with these guys who were actually on a funeral procession to bury one of their friends who had died. And the clash actually happened at exactly or around 11 a.m. This morning. And what triggered it was that the military suspected that one of the guys in the procession was wearing a military uniform. And this guy was confronted. In fact, the police report goes on to reveal that even when the military had, one of the officers had demanded that the guy remove the uniform, he was in the process of doing that. But in the course of that, one of the guys allegedly fired. And when, the people were protesting and all of that, then the shooting spree began, firing indiscriminately. This was contained in the police report. But nobody has been arrested, according to the police, because right after the incident, they sped off.
I see. And this comes on the heels of a number of these reported incidents of military-civilian clashes. I know that you've been speaking to some of the eyewitnesses there as well. Do they corroborate the military's position that they were only responding to, as it were, a threat on their lives?
Well, the eyewitnesses have been saying that the shooting was unprovoked. Because even, with the police report, as the police report has indicated, even when the deceased, or Kwesi now deceased, was asked to remove the uniform, he was in the process of doing that, but nobody knows what happened. All they heard was boom, a gunshot, and that was also at a close range. The pictures are very gory, but his head was opened with blood oozing all over his head region, with others also sustaining serious degree of injury. But the eyewitnesses, the people who were around, they tell me that incident or that shooting was unnecessary because they were not provoked. Well, that is the allegation or the claim they are also making.
I see, and just for the benefits of our viewers on Facebook and those of you listening to us right now, if you're minded to connect with us on Facebook, we're showing you videos of this incident and when the blast, in fact, when the gunshot was fired, and the reaction of the residents in the area. So you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927. We're playing that for you. And William, you say that the police report does indeed capture that some 18 empty shelves were retrieved at the crime scene, correct?
Well, absolutely. 18 empty shelves were retrieved. And in fact, they also say that because currently they have them, because same was retained. And the body has also been deposited. I'm talking about Kosilala, who was shot in the head, lost his life. His body is currently at the Nyahini Community Mortuary.
How many persons sustained injuries from this?
So, according to the police report, we're talking about 5. Kofi Ejapon, aged 44. Alfred Kwaten, aged 24. Kofi Wusu Elias Juve, aged 36. And Akwesi Lala Elias Kushivi, aged 37.
There's an Alfred in there, and quite a sad one.
Your namesake, sorry.
Yeah, indeed. William, I appreciate you for this, as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
William Evans Sinkum is our Northern Bureau Chief and our Ashanti Regional Correspondent joining us on this matter. If you just join us, a deadly confrontation between military personnel and civilians in Yinayini, a community in the Echmampania district of the Ashanti region, has left one person dead and 4 others with different degrees of injury. The incident occurred around 10:30 a.m. earlier today during the funeral of a young man in the town. 3 of the injured are currently receiving treatment at the Yinayini Government Hospital, while 1 has been transferred to the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital in Kumasi for specialized care. Now, that's information we're getting right now. You had William Evans Sinkum give us a detail. We understand that the situation quickly spiraled out of control, and we're showing you the videos of how it all happened on Facebook at 3FM927. Stones thrown and gunshots fired, resulting in the death of this 37-year-old Akwesi Lala, popularly known as Kushibi. 4 others also sustaining injuries in the chaos. Very unfortunate incident there, but we're keeping an eye on how things are playing out in that regard here on Hot Edition on 3FM92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and on W93.5 in One Beyond. The Member of Parliament for the Old Tafo constituency, Vincent Tekowasefo, has filed an application at the Supreme Court seeking an order to halt the suspension of the Chief Justice Getu Tukano from office pending the hearing and final determination of the case. This comes after President John Mahama on Tuesday, April 22, suspended the Chief Justice and constituted a 5-member committee to investigate 3 petitions seeking her removal over allegations of misconduct. The application filed today by the former Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Adame on behalf of the Old Tafo Member of Parliament is expected to be heard in court Tuesday, May 6, 2025. My colleague Dennis Baberi-Wadame Esquire is joining me in the studio with the details of this said application. Let's first of all, Dennis, understand this. The suspension has already taken place. The President has suspended the Chief Justice.
That is so.
What is this particular application by Vincent Asifua seeking to do, essentially?
In his own words, to suspend the suspension.
What does that mean?
Well, so he's basically saying that the Chief Justice having been suspended, he's now going to the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court for an order to put that suspension on hold. That's me using different words to describe suspension. So that's the essence of this particular suit. And it is one which has been mounted on a substantive matter, which is still pending before the court, to the effect that they do not even think this whole proceeding was started off on the right foot, for which reason they want the Supreme Court to declare it as unconstitutional. Their main contention has basically been the fact that the President ought to have, first of all, forwarded the petitions received to the Chief Justice, notifying her of those petitions and asking for her response. Then before the processes of consultation could begin. They are of the view that for the fact that an announcement was made that there was an ongoing consultation before, along the line, the Chief Justice was given the opportunity to respond or even notified of the existence of the petitions, was in clear violation of the provisions of Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. They still stand by that. But now, looking at the fact that some events have evolved past that initial injunction application, which was to the effect that the consultation process should be halted, that we have moved past that already, because we do know per the statement from the presidency on the 22nd of April, that's now a prima facie case has been established, which means that the consultation between the president and the Council of States has come to an end, and that was how they concluded. They put together a committee, and then subsequently the Chief Justice has been suspended. So what that effectively means is that the relief that was sought in that particular injunction application, which of course has been adjourned twice, it will be heard on this same day that this new one will be heard, was to determine the matter of that nature. But now what we are having before us is one that says that now let's get an order from the courts that will first of all suspend all the processes that are in motion now, and then again one which will suspend the suspension of the Chief Justice. In other words, let's get the Chief Justice back to office, suspend the whole proceedings until a determination is made whether or not it is lawful for the president to have first of all decided to engage in a consultation process with the Council of State before notifying the Chief Justice of the pendency of petitions and even asking for her responses. So that's basically the crux of it. But Alfred, what is important in this particular application now is the fact that in what the additional facts that they've added to this is to the effect that they have now begun to show by way of information and trying to make an argument that this whole thing that you are seeing is premeditated. So you would find that in their affidavit in support, they make references to some commentary that was made by the president, who then was the opposition leader, to the effect that at the time was expressing some misgivings about the conduct of the judiciary.
Right.
And in what they say was some comments he suggested that he was going to have a new Chief Justice who was going to be non-partisan. They also make reference to some interviews that had been granted to the media by some key government officials or appointees. They make reference to a statement that was made by Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, who is the Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC, to the effect that they are, upon the suspension of the Chief Justice, that the NDC is pleased. So they point to that particular statement. They also point to one that was made by Mustapha Bandi, Director of Operations at the presidency. He also happens to be Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, to the effect that the Chief Justice was going to be removed. So they say when you put all of those things together, it meant that this whole process was premeditated. And essentially, considering that this is an injunction application, they make the point strongly that if the processes are not stopped or suspended, and then at the end of this whole committee hearing, the Chief Justice, for instance, is cleared, the harm that will be caused or the damage that will be caused will be so huge that it cannot be repaired. And typically, when you are persuading the court to grant you an injunction application, you need to show that the harm that will be caused at the end of the action will be so huge that it cannot be repaired or cannot be made up for with damages. So that's the argument they are making. And to that extent, they want the courts to put the process on hold by way of granting them this injunction application and then wait till the final determination of the substantive matter, Alfred. So,
and you made reference to the fact that the president only carried out the constitutional mandate of suspending the Chief Justice, essentially.
Yes, but their contention is that the president did not do so following what the Constitution actually stipulates. So that is where they are now invoking the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to, by way of answering that question, actually interpret. For instance, they are making the point that first off, when the president receives the petitions, he has to notify the Chief Justice first, get her responses before the consultation together with the Council of State can begin. Their contention is that in this instant application, in this instant case, when the president received the petitions, in fact, they make the claim, the case that the petitions were actually delayed for about 3 weeks or so. Then a consultation process started before they got the Chief Justice's response. So it's a question of whether the first step should be the consultation before getting the input of the Chief Justice or the affected person, or that the affected person's response should be elicited first before. That is a substantive question that the Supreme Court will answer if it is minded to go into the substantive case. But what they are saying is that even before that question is answered, it's important for all that is happening now to be put on hold. If not, if at the end of the day, the Supreme Court makes the determination that no, the president ought to have first of all notified the Chief Justice, got her response before the consultation process, and then for some reason she's already been, maybe adverse findings have been made against her and she's been removed. They are saying that that particular harm that will be caused cannot be repaired, for which reason they think they are entitled to the grant of this injunction application, Alfred.
What other reliefs are they seeking? What other reliefs?
Yeah, so substantively, I mean, all those other ones point out to the same destination. That first of all, let's stop the process that is ongoing right now. Also, let's suspend or give an order that suspends the suspension of the Chief Justice. In other words, put on hold the suspension, let the Chief Justice come back to work. I mean, it comes in various forms, but bottom line is those are the two key things that they are looking out for in this particular application. So on the 6th of May, this will be one of 3 applications by way of injunctions that will be considered as to whether they will be minded to withdraw the earlier ones, which I have explained to you that events have actually overtaken some of them, or they also want to go and add this one to it. It's at their discretion, and also for the courts to make that determination. Well,
this same question was put to the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Adam Shemsai, Dr. Justice Adam Shemsai, about these pending applications against the process and what will become of it on the same day, May 6th, is it not?
Yes.
Same day. And this was his response.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the question. As my boss indicated last week, when it comes to constitutional function, I think the position of the law has been that no one can prevent a person from performing a constitutionally mandated function. The only circumstance at which the person may be prevented or may be restrained is when a court makes an order for the person to be restrained. As we stand today, there is no such court order which restrains the president from, or the Council of State from continuing with the process which the Constitution mandates them to perform. So I would reiterate the point that my boss made last week, that there's no restraining order for on any of the aspects that the president and the Council of State.
I mean, there are those who make the point that by virtue of this action, you have basically rendered the 2 cases that are seeking to injunct the process, you have rendered those cases moot. And they make reference to other decisions in the past of the court that suggest that you ought to simply hold on and not take any steps that potentially affects the possible outcome that the individual is seeking from the courts.
No, so there must be, I think we need to look at 2 things. There's an application for an injunction, and also there is the substantive case, okay, to the Council of State. I've gone to the Council of State before a reference is made to the Chief Justice involved. Even the previous, petition which the former Attorney General, that Yabo Adami government superintended over, the record shows that it was forwarded to the Council of State before the Chief Justice was given a copy. So even though it's a strange proposition, we believe that a clarity from the court could be useful.
That's the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Shemsai there. Christian Mamhese is private legal practitioner. He's been following this case every step of the way and how it's evolved to this moment. He's joining us on the telephone right now. So, Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening, and thanks for having me.
First of all, the latest to this is that, apart from the number of statements we've got from the Ghana Bar Association who say that, well, the process must be allowed to play out as enshrined in law and not politicized, and the Federation of International Women Lawyers also coming in that respect, essentially. The Member of Parliament for Otafo, again, Vincent Assefoa, has filed a suit at the Supreme Court essentially challenging the president's suspension of the Chief Justice. He is seeking the Apex Court to reverse the said suspension on the basis that the president had violated due process because of a pending court application. You just heard the Deputy Attorney General make the point that in their view, it cannot be the case that the president violated due process because of this pending application, because the president only carried out a constitutional duty. How does all of this strike you?
Yes, thank you for having me, and good evening to your listeners. You see, the important thing to note is that by the Mahama Bugri case that was decided by Akabuafo J accident was now at the Court of Appeal. It dealt with pending injunctive applications before the court, and in his decision, he directly dealt with such matters that where, aside the fact that other authorities had established that applications pending, which had been determined for court orders to come by, the remaining gray area was where he touched on, where pending applications are before the court and await determination. In situations as that, where the other party is acquiesced with it or is apprised with it by way of knowledge, then that particular person or party need to restrain themselves pending the determination of the matter. But he further went on to give a caution that the court should hasten slowly when it comes to constitutional duties. You see, so the legal principle is not an established one. So on Saturday, as you hosted me, the point that I was putting or establishing was that in the sense of wisdom and respectfully, the president could have hastened slowly in allowing the application to be determined. Thereafter, whatever steps that the president ought to put out could have been put out. Again, it must be put on record that the president has not done anything unconstitutional as far as Article 146 is concerned. He has carried out 146, he has carried out 14610, which dealt with the suspension. So there's nothing unconstitutional. Now, this application coming in to challenge the constitution, the suspension. Well, an injunction is a timeless one. It's very, very important in bringing the application. The time the application is brought can cause the application to win or for it to be dead on arrival. As we look at the timelines, the suspension has already taken effect. So, and mind you, injunction applications, they are discretionary in nature, and it's an equitable remedy, and where the court will defer to CIS 47 under Order 25 to deal with it. And among the basic elements to establish is the irreparable damage, the balance of convenience, the legal rights, and all of that. So, in the circumstances where a timeless application is needed, the horse has already bolted. The suspension has taken effect. There is an acting Chief Justice. The question remains whether or not it is smooth. It is for the court to decide. We are only doing education. We leave that to the eminent justices to do that. But by way of education, where an application is smooth, that which you are seeking to cure, because it is an equitable remedy, has already bolted. It's already in motion. What is there to hold? You get it? It's just like someone is building your property and you are seeking to injunct the person. Yet the person has a completed house. So the person files an opposition to say, my lord, I'm already done building the property, so the injunction application is not needed. All that needs to be done is we have to go to look at the matter itself. But the injunction application, once it's moot, is dead on arrival, and the court might tell you that do you still want to move your application? And then you get the demeanor of the court. But I mean, with this one, we look at what the judges will say. But given right from the go, it is obvious that you don't need to have legal lenses to know this. That the timeous nature of it is suspect, and that remains one of the weaknesses of it. However, the constitutionality of how the president has carried himself, he has moved within the confines of the law. It is only that certain quarters have prayed that the president, even though had the powers to take the necessary steps that he has taken, should have measured himself a bit to allow the determination of that particular application, so that it would, whatever step that he wants to take, he could carry it anyway, because that is mandated under Article 140(10). You get it? So
the question I'm going to ask now, it's a very important explanation you give, and also the references you make to the timing of this particular application being essential in bringing applications, because this action that this application is seeking to halt, as you indicated, has already taken place. The Chief Justice has been suspended. So what will be in such cases, what position does the court take, especially?
I will not want to seek to be the legal advisor to the parties, but I would have loved to see how, in the light of the injunction application, I don't want to mention the name of the process. The processes they could have brought to challenge the president going forward with the constitution of the committee, and in the light of the injunction, for the Supreme Court to have the opportunity to clearly deal with when there are pending proceedings before the court and involving constitutional matters, or when constitutional matters run parallel with it, what happens? Because now the gray area of it is that in such situations, the court should hasten slowly, so that it will not act as a fetter and a clog to a constitutional duty that can affect the constitutional decisions of the country. So that process, which I don't want to mention for whatever it is worth, would have granted the Supreme Court the opportunity to clearly deal with that aspect of the law, so that going forward it becomes very meaningful to refer to. But with the current application that they have filed, I mean, repetition should save ourselves, but what I've said about it is that it is late in time. What they are seeking to have it cured is already existing. So what is there to be cured?
Counsel, appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Christian Mamhesi is private legal practitioner on this particular development. Meanwhile, the Ghana Bar Association has condemned what it calls the over-politicization of the process to remove the Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tukono. The comment follows a statement issued earlier today by the Ghana Bar Association, in which it demanded fairness and a strict adherence to the rule of law in this entire process. Public Relations Officer of the Bar Association, Xavier Kuji, spoke to Beatrice Edo earlier today.
The whole issue has taken a political dimension. We, as a country, or many people who are running commentary on this, have forgotten the legal aspect of it, to the extent that the two major political parties make it seem as if it's business as usual as far as politics is concerned. So there was a need for us to step in at this time to say that it's a whole process. So let us all be restrained, be patient enough for the process to get concluded. the outcome of the determination by the committee set up by the president will determine where we should go. Those who are aggrieved, of course, the courts are there because the decision of the committee, of course, is subject to the jurisdiction of the court. It's not for me to pass judgment at this time because it's a process. Unless the process gets concluded, I don't think that it is proper and appropriate for anybody to condemn any process, because don't forget, at the end of the day, the courts are there. They can determine the procedural impropriety or otherwise of the whole process. So I think that it will be premature for anybody at this stage to be condemning the process at any stage. Not necessarily, but I don't think that it is out of place to remind the actors in the process of the fact that they should stick to procedure and processes and the rule of law. I don't think that they are humans too. They may get influenced. They may. I'm not saying that they would. So there's nothing wrong reminding them of their duty to stick to these processes and the rule of law.
Xavier Koji there. He is the public relations officer of the Ghana Bar Association. Now, away from the matters of law to health, the health minister, Kwabena Kando, has appealed to doctors at the Tamale Teaching Hospital to call off their indefinite strike. The Doctors Association of the Tamale Teaching Hospital declared a strike action with immediate effect on Wednesday night following the verbal exchanges between the head of the Accident and Emergency Department, Dr. Valentin Akopo, and the Minister for Health, Kwabena Kando. On Thursday, which is today, the minister, while presenting equipment to the hospital after an unannounced visit to the facility, appealed to the doctors to rescind their decision.
Please, that for the past 2-3 days, I have been speaking to stakeholders in this sector. And please, it isn't everything we can put out there as leaders. I am prepared for us to come around the table and discuss whatever we need to discuss. And so my humble appeal to my wonderful medical doctors and health professionals at Tamale Teaching Hospital is that I am the first person to take care of your interests. Therefore, let's call off the strike and let's all regroup and strategize going forward. There are some of the things we can easily do with our internally generated funds. Please, let's confront the issues as they are. It is just not sustainable for government to keep donating equipment to health facilities, and at the end of the day, when the equipment are obsolete, you run back to government for money to either maintain or to replace this equipment. Once at least, even if we are not charging the requisite fees, we generate something small out of these machines. What happens to the money? There must be a new direction, and we all group together and think through it. Maybe I'm looking at it from a different direction. We'll share ideas. Let's pursue the interests of the ordinary Ghanaian. I thank you.
Honorable, you are appealing that they call off their strike.
Please, hold on. The message is clear. I'm sure if we want to open up for questions,
So that's the Health Minister, Kwabena Kando, there. You can find more of this on 3news.com. But let's go straight to the Northern Region. Our Northern Region correspondent, Christopher Mwakom, is connecting with us right now. We understand the Joint Workers Union of the Tamale Teaching Hospital represented a collective voice of the healthcare professionals. They have unequivocally condemned the recent verbal exchange between the government delegation and the doctor at the accident department. And Chris, now after this visit and the donation by the health minister, what's been the talk and the reaction so far?
Yes, so Alfred, I must say that the doctors are still holding on to the fact that they are not backing down on the strike because the health minister did not apologize to the doctor earlier today when he presented those items to the newly appointed CEO and the administrator of the hospital. They also say that the items that the health minister donated is yet to arrive in Tamale for them to know what category of items were donated, because they have given some specifications, and that they are looking forward to seeing those specifications and also the apology before they will reconsider their decision on the strike. So as it stands now, the strike still holds.
I see, and talk about the demands that the doctors are making. And yesterday night we ran through it quite detailed there. But it appears that some very basic medical supplies are absent in the hospital. But paint to us a real picture of the Tamale Teaching Hospital as we speak.
Yes, Alfred, the situation is very bad. Very bad in the sense that if you were to visit the hospital with a client or patient, it means that if the patient is on admission or admitted, you will have to buy almost everything from outside, from gloves for the health staff to even use on your patient. You will have to go out and buy. You have to go out and buy gauze. Sometimes cotton. You have to even go outside the facility to buy. And so, when it comes to the availability of these medical consumables, basic ones, of course, the hospital does not have them. Now, the stand of the hospital also is that the hospital is a tertiary health facility that is supposed to provide some essential services. However, it also provides primary and secondary services as it stands now, because people walk in every day with some primary health conditions that they could have gone to other health facilities to get these services, but they come to the teaching hospital, thereby putting pressure on the hospital. That is their explanation to why they don't have the consumables to serve the purposes of patients. And so patients are compelled to go outside the facility to buy everything.
I see. And how about the water and electricity supply there into the hospital?
Yes, nothing has changed. It's still the same thing, because the water situation in Tamale is a serious situation. We have followed up to Ghana Water Company, and they are saying that, in fact, due to obsolete equipment that they use, they are unable to meet the demands of the people or residents in the greater Tamale metropolis. They are able to produce some 30 to 35 cubic meters of water as against 90 to 95 thousand cubic meters, and so it's a very huge deficit. So they are unable to satisfy the demands of people in Tamale. So they ration the water, and the hospital has 4 tankers that go to draw water. They have had an arrangement with the water company, said that when they go, they don't wait in the queue, but that is not working. And so over the period, the hospital is unable to run adequately as a result of the lack of water. Now, even when they go and come, the dialysis unit alone consumes the trace of water that is brought to the facility, and so the other areas do not get water, forcing patient relatives to use their money to buy water for some medical attention to be attended to on their patients. And so it's a very serious challenge. Now, the electricity aspect too, when it comes to the power supply, TTH does not have its own transformer. It used to, but because of the expansion of the community where TTH is situated, people are hooked onto the transformer, and so they don't have a dedicated transformer. So anytime there is a fault on that transformer, TTH goes off, and persistent power outages in the metropolis also is accounting for the challenges they face, and they usually get breakdown of their equipment as a result of it. So, Alfred, the entire TTH setup, from consumables, from medical equipment, from power, water, and everything needs to be reset for the hospital to function as it is supposed to.
Chris, I appreciate you for this comprehensive detail. Thank you so much. Christopher Macron is our Northern and Savannah regional correspondent there. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W93.5 in Y and Beyond. We're back shortly and with the business news. Bismarck Yosa is standing by after this quick break. Stay with us.
Ghana, it's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, CD ranked among strongest performing African currencies in 2025 despite economic pressures. We'll bring you details of World Bank Africa Pulse report. I am Bismarck Ausa. Thanks for your company. Now to the very first story. Ghana's currency has recorded one of its best performances in recent years, depreciating by only 4% against the US dollar so far in 2025. This marks a significant improvement from 2024 when the cedi lost over 17% in value, according to the latest Africa Pulse report released by the World Bank. The following 3 Business News Desk report has more. The World Bank's April 2025 Africa Pulse report has ranked the Ghana cedi among the stronger performing currencies on the continent this year. So far in 2025, the cedi has depreciated by about 4% to the US dollar, a notable improvement from the over 17% depreciation recorded in 2024. Across Africa, the CFA used by most Francophone West African countries topped the chart as the best performing currency, appreciating by roughly 2% against the dollar. At the other end of the spectrum, currencies such as South Sudanese pound, the Ethiopian birr, and the Nigerian naira saw steep declines in 2024, each losing more than 40% of their value. The World Bank notes that easing financial conditions and the positive impact of foreign exchange reforms helped some African countries recover. A clear example is the Kenyan shilling, which appreciated by 20% in 2024 and has remained stable this year. Meanwhile, the South African rand and currencies pegged to it saw only slight fluctuations, maintaining values close to those at the end of 2023. Countries grappling with foreign exchange shortages, largely due to mounting external debt repayments and weak export revenues, suffered the worst currency declines in the past year. For Ghana, this year's performance is being seen as a positive turn, possibly linked to improved macroeconomic management and external financing conditions. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on the World Bank Africa Pulse report revealing that the Ghana cedi is among strongest performing currencies in 2025 despite economic pressures. Moving on, Technical Director, the Office of the Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability, Cedric Jelu, has reaffirmed government's commitment to advancing electric mobility in Ghana. According to him, plans are underway to establish a dedicated policy framework on 2- and 3-wheelers to add to government's electric vehicle policy. He was speaking at the launch of a 22-month research project titled Exploring Ghana's Transition Pathways to Electric Vehicles by the Center for Extractives and Development Africa, CEDA, in accelerating the deployment of electric motorcycles and tricycles across the country.
Ensuring that e-vehicles in terms of these 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers are being pushed, and I have no doubt that at the policy level the Honourable Minister would push this to ensure that subsidies, to ensure giving of grants, to ensure that all the things that are needed to support businesses, to support individuals, and to support even the riders, are being championed. And organizations like CEDA are leading the front to ensure that stakeholder inclusivity and engagement, and the government welcomes that. So it is for this forum and other partners to know that the government has opened its doors for stakeholder engagement and to be able to use that opportunity to work hard and to offer solutions to some of the problems that we have. I must confess that there is no doubt that Okada business, 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers are now part of our normal daily social living. And so government is not blind to that. How do we make that efficient? How do we make that safe? I speak to regularizing this process, and I speak to the efficiency of this process.
And that was Technical Director at the Office of the Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability, Cedric Jelu. Now, the Accounting and Finance Department of the University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA, is warning that Ghana continues to lose significant revenue due to unchecked leakages across key sectors. The department estimates that more than $9 million in potential government revenue is being lost, undermining the country's ability to finance critical development priorities.
Reports from the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Public Interest and Accountability Committee (PIAC), Energy Ministry, the Auditor General, and the World Bank, among others, suggest that Ghana loses between $100 million and $3 billion annually due to systemic inefficiencies. When combined, these figures suggest the country may be losing up to $10 billion, an alarming figure, particularly as Ghana implements a $3 billion IMF bailout program. The total losses in cedis is over $130 billion, representing over 62% of the country's total revenue target for 2025.
9.2 or 9 billion represents a dream deferred. 9.2 represents medicine on boards. 9.2 represent school children who will stay outside this classroom. So it's a worrying situation, and we don't need to go to IMF. Ivory Coast borrowed for infrastructure, but we are borrowing to service debt. We should aim at borrowing to further infrastructure, but that's where we find ourselves.
The losses have been attributed to poor enforcement of regulations, outdated systems, institutional collision, and lack of transparency. The department believes leveraging technology could help reduce losses by enabling real-time monitoring and limiting human interference in revenue collection. But experts also caution that some digital interventions have raised concerns over transparency, value for money, and data privacy.
Indeed, it has been proven that technology has a way of blocking some revenue leakages in our country. So we need to leverage on that system and improve on it. Yes, there can be lapses within the SML model, or maybe how the contractual arrangement went. If that transparency is cleared and we know that the system is efficient, then we can deploy that system to ECG, to the mining sector, to Ghana Water, to be able to block the inefficiencies that is causing the revenue leakages.
Now, before we go, a Bank of Ghana report has revealed a 26% decline in fraud cases reported by banks in 2024, with 716 cases recorded compared to 969 in 2023. This downward trend is attributed to improved internal controls within the banking sector. The following 3 Business News Desk report has more.
Despite the decline in bank fraud, overall fraud cases across banks, specialized deposit-taking institutions, and payment service providers increased by 5% to 16,733 in 2024, from 15,865 in 2023. The total value at risk increased by 13% to approximately 99 million Ghana cedis in 2024, from 88 million Ghana cedis in 2023. Attempted fraud cases decreased by 18%, but the total value at risk increased by 11% to 80 million Ghana cedis in 2024. Payment service providers fraud cases increased by 7% to 15,673, with the value at risk rising by 18% to 90 million Ghana cedis. Forgery and document manipulation saw a significant 7-fold increase in value at risk, accounting for 67% of the total value at risk in 2024. However, cyber or email fraud recorded a significant decrease. The report further indicated that prolonged legal proceedings have made it challenging for banks and SDIs to recover potential losses. The central bank emphasizes the importance of fraud prevention and detection in maintaining financial integrity and requires all banks to report fraud cases promptly.
And that was a Bank of Ghana report revealing a 26% decline in fraud cases reported by banks in 2024, with 716 cases recorded compared to 969 in 2023. And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition. With me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com.
To the sports segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Now, Ghana remain flawless in the ongoing African School Championship, recording 3 wins from 3 games so far, nicking a place in the semi-finals of the competition as a result. My colleague Andrews Sefa-Bamfo, who has been covering the games, highlights some key talking points.
After 3 rounds of matches in the ongoing African Schools Championship, one team remains perfect, Team Ghana. And I believe a number of factors have contributed to Ghana's impressive performances. I would like to highlight some 3 key factors that I believe has brought Ghana this far in the tournament. The first I would like to touch on is defensive resoluteness. I believe Ghana have been very, very, very adept at the back when defending their opponents. Defense wins you titles, attack wins you games. And to that end, Ghana have been very effective. For both the boys and the girls, they are yet to concede a goal. 0 goals in 3 games speaks highly of the team, scoring 6 goals in that process as well. The second point I would like to highlight is the man management. Games have been coming thick and fast every now and then for these young athletes, and the coaches have managed to manage their time for them effectively. Fringe players were given the opportunities to play in the last games for the boys and then the girls, which is a sign and a mark of good man management. The last point I would like to also highlight is the crowd. The crowd have not been massive here, but then the little people who have come have shown their backing and their love for the team. In games against Morocco, in the first game, for instance, for the women, the crowd managed to pull Ghana over the line, where the female team managed to earn a 1-0 victory. So I believe these factors have helped Ghana to get to where they are. This is the first ever time that Ghana will be playing in the semi-finals of the African Schools Championship, both for the boys and the girls. And these factors are why Ghana are where they are at the moment. Remember, to eSports will be bringing you all the latest updates across our various social media platforms.
So that was Andrew Sifa Bamford speaking concerning the African Schools Championships, which is currently ongoing in in Accra, in Ghana. But let's do some more stories and talk about the Ghana Premier League because Karim Zito, the new interim coach for Asante Kotoko, made his first media appearance on Wednesday at the Barra Sports Stadium. My colleague Emmanuel Owusu has all the details in the following report.
That he turned down 3 huge offers to Asante. Zito is no stranger to Asante Kotoko, having won 5 league titles, 2 FA Cups, and a CAF Champions League trophy during his playing days. The former under-20 national team coach signed a 2-year contract as technical director of Kumasi Bay's side. For now, he will serve as an interim coach and has been charged with winning the ongoing 2024-2025 Ghana Premier League and FA Cup titles. The Porcupines are presently 4th in the table, 6 points behind league leaders Bebieni Gold Stars. Zito acknowledged the difficulty of his new task but remains optimistic.
Before I entered into it, the coaching issues will come. So I have to take the double and we are going to do our best. We told them it's not over until it's over.
The veteran also told fans to focus on results for now as the team looks to regain its position at the top.
All what we are after now is to win, to see us back to the... So it's not about football now.
After leading Dreams FC to the 2023-2024 CAF Confederation Cup semi-finals, Zito has been one of the most sought-after coaches on the continent. He reveals that he turned down 3 huge offers in other countries before accepting the Kotoko role.
So this time around, in order to be clear with them, when they call us, oh, go to Secret. Not because he's the president of Ghana Football Association. The first coming of Kotoko, it was Ket. I went outside to it was Ket and Gigi.
Zito's first match will be against Adriana Stars on Sunday at the Baba Era Stadium before traveling to Accra to battle rivals Hartlepool. Kotoko are winless in their last 4 games, and the pressure will be on the former Dreams FC coach to turn things round.
Well, let's do some more here, where 3 Ghanaian para-athletes are set to compete for laurels at the 2025 Crown Prince Moulay Al Hassan International Para-Athletics meeting in Marrakesh, Morocco. The athletes include Gilbert Ampia, Zinabu Issa, and Edmond Govina. Coach Ibrahim Amin Sulemana spoke with eSports on how preparations are going so far.
So far, so good. We give thanks to God. He brought us here safely. We arrived here on Monday from the stadium straight to our hotel. Preparation, everything is perfect. I have Zainabu Issa. She's doing sitting throw, javelin, discus, and shot put. F57. That is F mean third event. I have Governor Edmond. He too is doing javelin, shot put, and discus. F46. And I have Gilbert Apia. He's doing T44. T mean field. T mean track. Track event. is doing high jump and long jump.
And so that's the latest updates coming in from Ghana, our para-athlete team, as they get ready for the competition in Marrakesh, which is the Crown Prince Moulay Al Hassan International Para-Athletics Meet, which will take place in Marrakesh, Morocco. Now let's do some more Premier League, where Arsenal have opened talks with Thomas Partey to extend his contract, which expires this summer, and that would enable him to leave as a free agent. That is if Arsenal failed to reach a deal with the Ghanaian by the summer when the season ends. My colleague Mutala Yakubu has the latest on all the details that you need to know concerning this.
Arsenal are looking to offer Thomas Partey a new contract after his performances in this year's league and also in the Champions League has raised a lot of eyebrows. He is one of the players who has been a force in the midfield for Mikel Arteta, and we are hearing that the Gunners are set to offer him a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal with an offer of another year if he impresses. Now, Thomas Partey, now in his 30s, is not short of suitors, and we are hearing that major clubs in Europe like Juventus and Barcelona in particular are looking at snapping him up when his current deal expires this summer. Now, Barcelona are also looking at shipping out players like Frankie de Jong, and that could free up space for the Ghanaian midfielder. He's also not short of suitors because even in the winter transfer window, we heard rumors that some Saudi Arabian clubs were plotting a move for him. For Kudus, he may want to stay in Europe and still go on to do greater things, but West Ham United, due to their budget, would want to sell a few players to make space for others to come in, and Kudus is one of the players that they could get a lot of cash for, and we are hearing that Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia are willing to offer around $100 million for the services of the West Ham United forward. So let's see how things go this summer.
So that was Mutala Yakubu with the report on the latest on Ghanaian players and what looks like potentially could be a big summer for them. We stay with Arsenal because they did end up drawing their Premier League game against Crystal Palace on Wednesday, which means that Mikel Arteta's side could see Liverpool win the Premier League trophy this weekend if the Reds avoid defeat against Tottenham Hotspur. Speaking after the game, head coach of the Gunners, Mikel Arteta, conceded that Arsenal just didn't find enough consistency against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, disappointed with the results and with the performance as well. I think we never got the consistency in many areas to completely dominate the game. We always had the feeling that, we had the ball, we had possession, we went in front twice, but the game wasn't grabbed, it wasn't dominated and controlled in the way that we normally do, because we were below the standards in some areas, and when you are not at your best but you are 2 times ahead, you have to be able to see the game off, and we weren't able to do it, especially with what happened in the second goal.
Now, before we go, Jamie Vardy is set to leave Leicester City at the end of the season after 13 years at the club. The striker departs as one of the Fox's greatest players ever, having won the Premier League and FA Cup, and he needs 4 more appearances to hit 500 for Leicester. Vardy departs as the club's greatest ever player after he scored 24 goals in the title-winning 2015-2016 season under Claudio Ranieri and lifted the FA Cup in 2021 with Brendan Rodgers in charge. The 38-year-old has said that he is gutted to believe in a parting message that he shared with Leicester City fans.
To the fans of Leicester, gutted that this day is coming, but I knew it was going to come eventually. That's 13 unbelievable years at this club, with lots of success, some downs, but the majority all highs. But it's finally time to call it a day, which I'm devastated about, but I think the timing is right. just want to sincerely thank you all for taking me in as one of your own. Leicester will always have a massive place in my heart, and I'll make sure that I will be following for the years to come in what I hope will be even more success for the club. But as for now, this is my goodbye. But you will see me again soon, I promise. Thank you.
As a rather emotional tribute there from Jamie Vardy. But let's also get the latest from NBA because Jalen Green scored 38 points and host Rockets beat Golden State Warriors 109-94 to level their Western Conference series at 1-1, with Game 3 in San Francisco on Saturday. Making the night more painful was the 7th-seeded Warriors was losing Jimmy Butler to a pelvic contusion late in the first quarter. Let's now hear from Warriors talisman Steph Curry speaking after the game.
I think the goal is when you start on the road, you want to get one. That's what we did. We wanted to get greedy tonight and try to get another one. But you had to expect that they were going to come out with some force. And you look around the league, evenly matched series have pretty much gone that same kind of way. Whether the road team wins the first game or the second game, it's just it's a long series. And we've shown that we have what it takes to put together a 48-minute effort and beat a very good Houston Rockets team. We got to do it 3 more times however we can get there. So there's going to be adjustments every game, and that's what you love about the playoffs, because you're really trying to figure out a team and they're trying to figure out you, and it's a game of runs.
So that's Steph Curry bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
On Hot Edition, the woes of Ghanaian schoolgirls who lack access to menstrual products are expected to end as President John Dramani Mahama has officially launched the distribution of free sanitary pads initiative, being the first of its kind in Ghana and a significant step to help promote quality education. 300 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to purchase sanitary towels to be shared amongst girls in schools. Speaking during the launch, President John Mahama said the initiative marks a new era in Ghana where no girl should miss school because of menstruation.
The menstrual cycle our daughters go through every month is just their identity as women. And God created them to go through that so that they can exercise their reproductive function of the human race, so that we can reproduce ourselves. And that is why every month they have to go through that inconvenience. And the least we can do is to support them and assist them with what they need to to be able to go through it with dignity and with hygiene. And so I'm happy that today we've reached this point. Everybody accepts that we should invest national resources in order that our girl children can have confidence to be able to go to school without fearing that they will become the laughingstock of their friends. And so, like I said, mothers, you don't need to give your children buoy anymore. We will supply them with the proper sanitary products to be able to go to school. Ladies and gentlemen, today we take a bold step forward, not just in education policy or healthcare, but in hope for the girl child. Today is a message to every girl in Ghana that you matter, that your dreams matter, and your future is worth every investment that we can make in it. I stand before you to officially launch the National Sanitary Pad Distribution Program, a promise we made and are proud to have fulfilled. This initiative is more than just the distribution of sanitary pads. It is a clear declaration that no girl in Ghana should miss school because of her menstrual period.
John Dramani Mahama there, bringing an end to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5.